Great. Good morning, everyone. Good morning from Basel. So I'm Rana London. I work at Novartis. I'm a managing director in DRX Capital. So this is our fund that we created back in 2015 to enable us to make investments into companies in the data and digital space. In summary, just a few words about the fund. So this is an evergreen fund. We invest anything between 2 to 5 in kind of an average. We could go up to 20, we could do less. Really what matters is that the investment is really strategically fit to our business. We make investments across the value chain, from drug discovery to clinical development, commercialization, manufacturing. Really the aim is to enable us to bring medicine to patients in a faster way, with better outcome, cheaper, and make them accessible globally. So this is really our kind of mission of investing in technology. What we also like to do is, through our investment, to really be able to work with other partners in the industry, not necessarily only in healthcare, to really enable the change of the ecosystem and the new generation of healthcare. So this is really generally about the fund. When I was having a chat with the conference organizers, I think one of the question that came up, how did we really see the space evolving over time, and what COVID has actually done for the investment? So maybe, the things that came to my mind, I mean, we started that fund in 2015. I think it was a really great time. It wasn't too early. It wasn't too late. And I think this is when we really started digital health to see it coming on the map. Money started to go in with some skepticism. How is this going to continue? Is this going to flop next year? And in fact, we see from an investment standpoint that the money continued going into the space more and more and more every year. Last year, actually, I think there were around 26 to 30 billion kind of capital went into the space. We see that potentially there is some bubble actually happening there, especially with very high valuations, really especially seen in the US. But despite that, we continue seeing people coming in and really continuing investment in digital health. Even investors really who have not been in digital health before, from other sectors, they're coming in and really teaming up with investors, for example, like us or other VCs in digital health as well. So there is a lot of activity in the space from an investment standpoint. We've seen also recently a lot of IPOs and M&As happening, and this is really very much also driven by a lot of fragmentation in the system and the really need for consolidation and creation of higher value. From an industry perspective, actually, I can share my perspective from a Novartis standpoint. We see a lot of change also with the way us as a company who are the clients of these companies in digital health. We started really with a bit more of a skepticism. Let's do this pilot, let's try this. And then with time, we really realized that to do the next generation medicine and deliver our promise to patients and to society, we really need to use enabling technology. So now we moved away from this kind of pilot phase to doing more thinking of scale, but also thinking, how can we work with other partners in the ecosystem, because we realize that solutions to the patients are not only focused on health. We need to think about the patient experience. We really need to work with the companies and invest with companies more on the consumer space. So there is a lot of change of culture, I would say, from us, from the industry, from our perspective, and we really started to build teams, build capabilities, center of excellence internally to really enable us to really go to the next phase of healthcare. I think digital is not anymore a nice to have for us. It is really a must have, and it is a great competitive advantage that any company can really need to use and internalize. Now, what we have seen also as a change in there is the collaboration between the industries. As I mentioned earlier, so we see in our boards of companies, people coming from the consumer space, from the healthcare space, from the providers, from the payer, and I think this is the only way this can work. Of course, to finish off, COVID actually came and did this huge explosion in the demand. Without digital, really, we would have struggled. I think during the COVID, using digital, we were able to reach our patients. We were able to continue with our clinical development, and really, what I see on the horizon, that digital is actually here to stay. Maybe in the future, we need to improve more on the kind of infrastructure and on the securities, the privacy, the interoperability. So all of these things to really create that kind of a sustainable ecosystem to enable us to deliver on digital health. So one of the questions also that came from the organizers was around where do we see maybe the challenges today. I think the challenges remain around the scalability. We see a lot of digital health companies coming to us. Some of them, maybe they're coming with the same story, solving for the same problem. And I think this is where we see the problem remains in the fragmentation. Lots of people, lots of players doing the same thing. Fragmentations also of markets. US is probably, if you make it in the US once and for all, it's really for the whole market. Europe is a bit more still very, very fragmented with different regulations in different markets. So I think this is one of the problems is scalability and market fragmentation. But also really the problem also remains about reimbursement. Who's going to pay for it? And I think we started to see changes in the market around, in Germany with the DIGA. Now France is going to follow. The NHS is doing great initiatives in really supporting digital health. So I think the space is moving forward. There are more FDA. Clearer path for regulations with the FDA for digital health. So I think we will get there with time, but definitely I think scalability and fragmentation and reimbursement are one of the issues. One of the questions also that came from the organizers was how us as corporate venture can really help in this space of digital health. I think really. One of the ways to actually, let me just put it this way, it's how we do it is really important. We, for example, used to invest in biotech before, and as a pharma, you really want to have everything for yourself. In biotech, the IP is super important. You want to be the only kind of an investor and player in that biotech. I think for us to be very helpful to our companies in digital health, we need to change that mindset. And this is what we've been doing, is to really think about us being an investor, but we really want to encourage the company to have as many players as possible in the space, as many pharma as clients, as many providers, payers. So it's really more the mindset of collaboration and working with the industry to build that ecosystem, because being possessive over a technology really doesn't help anyway. It just maybe helps internally, but we really we see that this technology needs to be used and validated across the whole industry. We help with that mindset. I think we become then very useful players on the board of these companies. We connect the companies to our companies internally, to our experts. We give advice. We really give them our client perspective. Without controlling the company, we tend to take generally observer seats, so we stay off control. And the other financial VCs really like that as well. So we bring a lot of value, but really without being possessive and controlling the company. We also connect the companies to other partners in the space, other pharma, other VCs. And the aim really is to accelerate that scalability and create that scale. Also, we connect them to our business internally and help them to create the commercial agreement. So really, we can help them also from a growth perspective. One of the questions also that maybe this is the last questions that come to my mind, the organizer asked, where do you see the next trend going forward? I think it's probably not a secret. It's everywhere. We see there is a lot of excitement around telehealth. and care platforms. I think really the industry will have to, the way it is evolving, that if for each one of the indications there will be more of a kind of a vertical. You will have your key players in respiratory, key players in cardiovascular, key players in oncology, and really this is about delivering care for the patients, but also being able to measure outcome and to really be able to communicate that outcome with payers. Another important trend is really in mental health. I mean, mental health has been stigmatized for a long time. I think it's back on the map, but COVID really brought it even more to the light. I think we have a lot of work to do in mental health. And there will be and we see a lot of investment going into the space, investment from pharma, public funding going in, a lot of M&A and licensing activities, and investment from VCs as well. So mental health is definitely super important. Maybe I had, I touched on that maybe with remote patient monitoring as part of the care platform, and everything that really supports this decentralized healthcare, either in clinical trial or maybe at-home testing, communication with the doctor, and really, finally, it's which is really very nice to see. At least I've only been in Novartis for maybe nearly 5 years, but I see that language really shifting more towards patient centricity. But in the true sense of term here, in a way that if we want to design anything for in digital health and make it successful, it really has to bring that delight and that really good, not good actually, great patient experience, so the patients can actually enjoy and use the platform. So and this is why we see the conversation really shifting, not only for talking and collaborating with people in the healthcare space, but also talking to people in the consumer space. And I think this is really when we need to win on delivering an amazing patient experience here. And these are the companies that would make a really a true change in the space. So maybe with this I will stop. I wish everybody a great meeting today. I wish for Eileen and Tara to have a great panel. Sorry, I cannot be there with you, but please connect with me on LinkedIn, and I would be very happy to continue the conversation, and through Teams or maybe through face-to-face chat. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.